Hi, you guys. Listen. All right. My plan was to have these come out every week. However, the way my life is set up is it didn't. So I'm glad we're here now. I do have good news. I just won another grant yesterday. So listen, in between time, I'm not just here doing the Mahogany Project or again, I like to say I'm not a content creator. I create content that is educational and motivational, and I want to connect with my community, and I also want to market. So with that being said, I'm so excited about something I really had years ago that again, guys, I'll have all these ideas that I do not market. I just don't. Why don't this is where I'm doing better. I created couples conversation cards many years. These have to be at least 4 or 5 years old. I probably have 100 of these that I just don't talk about, but I do have them available, and we're going to start with answering a card, so you guys can kind of get an idea with what they ask. And the idea is that it asks questions for couples to connect with each other and learn more about each other. So the question of the day is, what line don't you cross in an argument or a disagreement? So I will say for myself, calling them like out of their name, that is a name, that is a thing I've done once. I will never do again. I don't like it. I think it is the ultimate disrespect. I don't cuss in front of my parents. I do cuss in front of my partner, my husband, but I try to be mindful. And I also think that's a responsibility of ours when we are in relationships, is to be mindful and be mindful of the boundaries of others and how they interpret their experience with us. So how would you guys answer that question? Let me know in the comments. And if you get a chance, get over to my website. They're called Couples Conversation Cards. Take This Shit Personal, Couples and Intimacy Edition. Get your copy. All righty. We are going to get into the episode today, which super excited about. We're going to be talking about friendships, and we're going to be talking about Toni and Joan's friendship. Now, I remember watching Girlfriends, and one of the most important, I think, episodes that stuck out to me was when Toni and Joan got into their kerfuffle, and Toni had told Joan's boss about Joan's boyfriend's sex addiction, and that was her final straw, yada yada yada. And Joan started to set very clear boundaries with Toni, not wanting her around, not interacting with her. And it felt like finally Joan stood up for herself, because I do think it was one of those things in friendships, just like any other relationship, we have roles. And at some point, when we decide to grow, when we decide to change, our relationships don't function the same because the roles are now changing. And when that happens, it can create chaos, and sometimes it can end the relationship. But I think it's important to note, that essentially what I saw was Joan set a boundary with her that said, listen, I have asked you to respect my privacy. I've asked you not to talk to people about my business. I've asked. And this was the final time that I have had enough. And I think the challenge with this is when you set that boundary, you have to be prepared with a consequence. And the consequence for Toni at that time was, we're not going to be friends anymore. But it is almost like Joan went from nothing to something, all or nothing, versus setting boundaries with her and then standing behind them. So maybe the boundary isn't like, we're not going to be friends. Maybe the boundary is, I'm not going to tell you any more of my personal business if you can't respect my privacy or not sharing with other people. I'm not saying that as a question or a suggestion. I am telling you that is a limit for me. And not making your boundaries optional, because oftentimes I think people are unaware that they make them optional, one, by either not giving a possible consequence to, giving a consequence they're not going to follow through on or be consistent with, or 3, they continue to say nothing. So you're saying it's okay. You're saying it's okay without saying anything at all. You're enabling the behavior. And then when, of course, Joan stands up for herself, she starts to grieve the relationship because they had a long history. Toni is completely confused. Why is Toni completely confused? Because I've acted like this our entire friendship. Why is it a problem all of a sudden? Again, you've let me get away with doing this for a very long time. Why all of a sudden is it a problem? You've never enforced any boundaries before. And you know, we've been there when we're in engagements or relationships with people, and we finally stand up for ourselves. We finally have had enough. But because we were not consistent before and we enabled the behavior before, we don't understand why they're confused, or why they don't take us seriously, or why they think we're just going to get over it and move on. We'll not talk for a while and then act like nothing happened, because we have been the problem, and we've sent the message that our boundaries don't mean anything. So a part of this is our responsibility to stand behind what we say and mean it. It's interesting because they had a strange, I'm not going to say strange, but they had a struggle with the fine line between enabling and supporting. And Joan, quite frankly, enabled not just Toni, but Lynn, Maya to do fuck shit. Maya, when she was cheating on her husband and she was lying to him, and listen, if you're gonna do dirty work, don't involve me. Don't involve me, especially when, I don't know if you guys remember the time where Maya was cheating on her husband, and it was Christmas time, and the guy that she was cheating with bought her a watch. She lied and said Joan bought her the watch, not knowing that her husband had already talked to Joan about what he wanted to get her for Christmas. So it looked like Joan was undercutting him to get Maya something. And instead of Joan gathering Maya, I mean, she said something to her like, don't put me in the middle. But she withstood her husband berating her over something she didn't do to someone, about someone who said they were your friend, but you enabled poor behavior. You enabled her to continue to do this and involve you in your reputation and your name, which is not okay. Then we look at Lynn. Again, letting Lynn stay there, not paying bills, running behind Lynn. What are you going to do? Acting more as her mother or parental figure than her friend. She enabled poor choices and not following through and being used and abused in that way. Same thing with Toni. Because I think in that friend group, Joan was the mother figure, but Joan was also the mother figure that they were able to run all over. Joan was the responsible one. Joan was the one who was also desperate for love and attention and connection. So I think that is also what contributed to her enabling a lot of the foolishness, because there are still boundaries in love. You don't have to accept any and everything simply because we say we love and care about you. And not that their friendships were completely poor or anything. That's just what was a part of it. And it certainly wasn't helpful. Supporting someone says, hey, I'm going to be here to cheer you on while you take the lead, and I help you help you. When you help yourself, I am standing behind that. Not, I am going to do a lot of it for you. I am going to pick up the slack because you are making poor choices. That's enabling. That is enabling. And I think that's something that she definitely struggled with for most of the series. And I think until the end, when her and Toni were friends, as far as we know, not for good, when essentially Joan had her moment to be the it girl, to be in the spotlight, to get all the attention, and Toni couldn't stand it. And Joan gave Toni back some of her own medicine, and how quickly the friendship ended because Joan showed up in the same way Toni has consistently showed up. She had very little tolerance for the way that she treated people consistently when she was treated that way by Joan, which simply says, one, lack of awareness and emotional intelligence, but also in general in relationships, keep that in mind. People will love you as long as you don't treat them how they treat you. They will adore you as long as you give them what they want, do all the things, but people who truly respect you and value a relationship with you, they want balance. They want to honor you while honoring themselves. And they have a level of awareness and they can take accountability. So we're going to take a quick break right now, and I hope you enjoy this information about my new app. Let me know what you think.
Meet Sifted, the AI-powered life operating system designed to bring clarity, focus, and control to everything you do. Tasks, goals, calendar. Sifted brings it all together into one intelligent command center. Plan smarter with powerful task and goal management. Got thoughts, ideas, or mental clutter? Just drop everything into Mind Laundry and let AI instantly organize it into clear, actionable items. Manage every venture from one intelligent business hub with Sifted. Create, organize, and scale your operations with clarity and efficiency. Meet Vera, your built-in AI assistant. From planning and brainstorming to scheduling and decisions, Vera helps you move faster and think clearer. Sifted works across all your devices. Start your plan with flexible and affordable options. Visit sifted.one and start your free 14-day trial today.
So, I needed that. I would love to. I would also like to oh God, I was responding to a daggone email. So we are back. Thank you so much for checking that out. I will have the QR code in the corner. Let me know if you're interested, if you've tried it. I would love to check in with you. I'm really excited about this app because it really was developed from trying to create a solution for myself. And it turned into something else, which I'm really, really excited about. So we're going to talk a little bit more, and I want to specifically get into female relationships, female friendships, because I think that there is something to be said about the themes that I see in friendships between women. I see far too often when women, or hear too often when women will say, I don't trust other women. I don't trust being in relationships, like friendships with other women. I don't trust that. Or I haven't had positive or productive friendships with other women. Or the very opposite, where I have great friends. It feels like there's not a whole lot of in between. And I wonder what that is. I really have considered, is it because, one, if you grew up not having positive experiences with women, it can make it very difficult for you to have positive experiences with women as an adult. For the women you pick, the women you surround yourself with or engage with, And then your preconceived notions and all your baggage going into those relationships, it can make it very difficult to have friendships with other women. And I will also say, I see far too often when in friendships, people are enabling poor behavior. If enabling poor behavior and not readily available to have difficult conversations. In genuine friendships, you should be able to be uncomfortable, confrontational with each other, to have a difficult conversation, that there will be conflict. You don't always have to agree, but the idea is that you can grow and respectfully grow together and address the behavior together and still be friends. It's absolutely uncomfortable, but it's absolutely necessary to build trust and reliability in relationships. I have to be able to trust that I can address something you did that I didn't like or that hurt me, and that we can still be friends and you can learn and grow from that, and that you will respect my boundary. We have to be able to do that. That is healthy. It is healthy. It is healthy. It is unhealthy to act like we never have any disagreements. I agree with everything you do. I'm enabling totally irresponsible and poor behavior. I am encouraging and enabling you to treat me poorly. How is that friendship? Versus people pleasing. I'm just showing up because I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to have the uncomfortable conversation. So I just let you run over me, talk to me crazy, disrespect me, whatever. You know, that sounds like slavery. It sounds like I am beholden to you, like you own a part of me. So that allows you to treat me any kind of way. That is not a viable, healthy friendship that will last. And it's funny because my best friend and I were having this conversation, and we've been friends since the 6th grade. And we were just talking about how we can challenge each other. And we've had moments where it's come to a head, and we've had moments of conflict and, again, confrontation, all the things that I'm saying to you guys, where she had to gather me, I had to gather her. There were things I didn't like. There were things she didn't like. We know that we are both quirky in our own ways. We know our limits with each other when we've had enough. She knows when I disappear, I just need time. And vice versa. Like, there's no offense to any of that. We get each other and it works, and we figured out how to make it work. But we were both willing and desired to have a better relationship with each other. And we love and respect each other, and we care about the other one's feelings. So that is also important in this. I don't want her to just be a yes person to me. I don't want her to just do whatever I want. I don't want to treat her any kind of way. I have zero interest in that. Honesty and candor also bring about reliability and trust, at least for me. So I want to end on this and talking about like the breaking point in friendships. Oftentimes you'll see where people will talk about they're not friends and this egregious thing happens. This is what I'm going to tell you. I can promise you that was not the first time. It might not have been that egregious, but people are ritual and routine in the way that they behave in most relationships, unless they are expected to do otherwise, and they respect and honor that relationship in that way. People do what they usually do. So this last straw wasn't the first time. This last straw wasn't the second time. Oftentimes, people will continue to do the thing that you let them get away with. They will continue to do the thing again that they usually do. And it's also a sign sometimes of where the limits you need to have with people, because they may lack capacity. That's just how they're going to show up, but it may not work for you. And it certainly may not work in a friendship. So you have to adjust access. Maybe I don't give you this much access to me because you don't know how to manage it effectively. But I will say, again, it comes back to you, your responsibility for protecting and taking care of you. But friendships and connection are necessary. They're necessary, and they can happen, and we can have healthy friendships. And it doesn't mean they're perfect. It doesn't mean we don't get things wrong, but it does mean we can be in connection with other people consistently without having to be under each other all the time or talk every day or 17 hours a day. That does not make a friendship great. And you can see that through the test of time and through the test of trials and tribulations, and not just when things are good. How does it look when things are not so great? Not even just in your life, but in between the two of you. So I would say definitely take a note. Think through what that looks like for you. Thank you for joining me. Come back next week for the next episode. Bye.